Right, it's Sunday, August 20th at 11:25 a.m. coming at you from Maui, Hawaii. The transits are Sun in gate 29.4 and Earth in gate 30.4. So I didn't make a video yesterday, or we didn't do one of these yesterday, so I'll go ahead and read what yesterday's line was. And 29.3 is evaluation. And out of the Rave I Ching, which is out of the Definitive Book of Human Design, is in this context properly assessed inaction. Exaltation is despite the urge and cost of inaction, the knowledge that it's sometimes better to fight another day, the power to wait. Detriment is a preference for withdrawal in principle with little regard for effect, which is the inability to make commitments, and that is the power of caution. So that was definitely yesterday. There was I felt the difference, and I didn't even read the transits, which is one of the reasons why I do these transits, is so I actually read them. But just in hindsight, recognizing certain times yesterday when I was being cautious, and certain times yesterday when I was actually waiting, and it wasn't out of caution, but it was understanding that, like, hey, I'm supposed to wait. It wasn't a fear of moving forward so much as it was an understanding that waiting was the appropriate thing. So that's actually really cool to look at. And then gate 30.3 yesterday was resignation, which is the acceptance of what is, and it's exaltation. It's the awareness and manifestation of the law of regeneration, the laws of karma, reincarnation, and resurrection, the feeling to accept what is. And the detriment is the tendency by its very knowledge to encourage or avoid despair, which is the positive or negative feelings which come with the acceptance of what is. Which is, sometimes when I read these transits, I'm tempted to polarize them in my mind, like, oh, I want to experience the exaltation because that's good, or I don't want to experience the detriment because that's bad. Oh, hey, Onion, I didn't even see you there. Hi. Yay. But as I was saying, it's like the polarization in my mind of wanting to experience the exaltation and not wanting to experience the detriment in and of itself is kind of like a conditioning. And so what is really, the more that I read this kind of stuff is again, just learning how to observe what's happening as opposed to judging myself based off what's happening. And ultimately, I'm learning to do that through witnessing the judgments that I normally would bring up about myself, of like yesterday, I was definitely in some, positive and negative feelings that came from the acceptance. I was writing that story about, oh, this is good, you did this because A, B, and C, or oh, this is bad. And it's crazy. I was in both the exaltation and detriment. And that's kind of what a juxtaposition is. Sometimes in our natal charts, you see the little arrow up, that's exaltation, arrow down is detriment. Sometimes you see both of them, or sometimes you see none at all, but the both of them is called a juxtaposition, which is where you're going to experience flavors of both in that realm. So that was yesterday, and now today is line 4, which is the opportunist. Again, gate 29.4 would be in the sacral, reaching up towards the G center, and it's part of this channel of like commitment and coordination. And so I'm going to go over to the keynotes real quick and just look at that, because that's been super helpful, which we definitely need to pin this right here. Pin message. Oh yeah, pin it. Okay. So 2946, that the keynote on that one is discovery, a design of succeeding where others fail. And that is, again, perseverance, which is 29, and determination, which is 46. And so again, this provides the sacral energy to supply the identity center with the ability to persevere, to have determination. It transmutes the energy of perseverance into an identity or an essence of determination. And so line 4 is we're exploring directness, which is the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. The wisdom to use the simplest and most direct approach to solve difficulties. That is, the power to commit oneself to the simplest and most direct processes. In the detriment, we have simplicity and directness, all too often seen as inharmonic and aesthetically crude. The power of directness often offends others. So in today, we might be experiencing a directness, and both from ourselves and from other people, because again, this transit affects everybody. And so in that directness, are we understanding, are we choosing to be offended when direct energy is being channeled at us? Like, for instance, I was expressing to my partner some like fears around, not being able to make enough money. Around, she mentioned that she wanted to like take a trip and do something because things are really heavy here on Maui, and I totally feel it. I'm similar, but there's this energy around like, oh, what if I don't have enough money? What if we're not able to like make it happen in a good way? What if it's a bad, all this stuff. And I realized that, the reason I was saying that, because I just really wanted to hear her say, like, it doesn't matter about the money. It's about you, and it's about me and our family and experiencing things together. And, just like I think every man or every partnership, they want to know, like, are you going to be with me when times are tough? Or when times get tough, are you going to leave? And so that's kind of what I wanted. And I realized like I could just ask for that. And I did ask for that. And then, there was it was an energy shift rather than like this like little game that I play sometimes unknowingly, like, how do you not see this thing that I want that I'm keeping hidden from you? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of ridiculous. But now that I'm talking about is like, really, like, what do I want? And allowing myself to be direct about it, even though someone might take offense. Like she did mention it. Like she was like, "I'm sorry," and I was like, "You didn't do anything wrong. I just wasn't being direct with what kind of support I wanted from you, and also I didn't really know." And so that's a good manifestation of that line for myself. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Again, letting go of like the stories and the feelings about it, allowing the feelings to be there, but really just being direct with it. And this is not something that I normally have in my natal chart. I do not have 29. But even so, like, I don't really have any of this because all my gates are dormant in that sense. So, feeling the energy of directness, though I know that there's a place for it. And even though I don't have the gate, it's still about the attunement to what directness, what possibilities directness can bring forward. Next, we have line 4, which is burnout in gate 30. Gate 30.4, which is the clinging fire. Line 4 is an unrealistic pace that begs misfortune, which is a compulsive and hyperactive nature that carries all the earmarks of burnout but doesn't necessarily arrive at it. A positive outcome is often assisted through analysis. Highly energized feelings that may lead to emotional collapse. Definitely feeling this one. And the detriment is uncontrollable expansion with the inevitable bursting of the bubble, uncontrollable feelings, and accompanying emotional outburst. So this is emotional outburst versus emotional collapse, or rather than versus, it's emotional outbursts in contrast with emotional collapses. And I would view the emotional outburst, which is the detriment of this gate, of this line here, as failing to follow the emotional authority, which is just the emotional authority. If you're in the emotions, wait it out. Don't have your emotional outbursts. If you are going, when the emotional energy is there, like, let it crush you, let it collapse you. And that being the exaltation, that's something that is really important, because a lot of times the emotional energy wants to blame. It wants to reason. It wants to look for, why am I feeling this way? But that's not even really the solar plexus, right? That's more of the mind. That's more of this outer authority that wants to claim inner authority. And if you guys haven't already read Prana's post, he put it in the Power Facts. I'll go ahead and post it here for you guys to go check it out. but it's an absolutely incredible post about the connection between neuroscience and human design. So I'm going to slam the post right there so you guys can go read it. So good. I made a TikTok where I literally just read it to the TikTok people, and people loved it. So anyway, with the solar plexus, again, that's an inner authority. If you have that defined, that's an inner authority. But the mind, the programs, the paradigms, the projections, the agendas, the pre-programmed disposition to what we think is going to happen ultimately is constantly being updated by our inner authority, by our senses, by our sensations, by what we see, by what we hear, by what we smell, by what we touch, by what we feel. That program is constantly being upgraded, and so the the essence of this one is understanding that burnout, number one, is that's a natural thing to experience burnout. However, are you burning out and collapsing into the emotions, like surrendering to the emotions, or are you burning out and having these emotional outbursts? Which, again, emotional outbursts are not bad, but they have impacts. The impact of an emotional outburst could mean you say something that you don't really mean, or you quit something that you actually really wanted to finish, or you start something that you never actually wanted to begin. And those have impacts, and as well as the collapse. If you allow your emotions to be felt and you surrender under the emotions, now suddenly, you actually get to raise your voltage of consciousness. You actually get to develop emotional intelligence within the context of that collapse. And so, again, understanding that as transitory energies, directness and burnout are a part of the natural cycle of life, and that there are certain people which, if you have this gate defined, 29 or 30, especially in these specific lines, 29.4, 30.4, that you are here to carry that energy consistently within you. And if you do not have that defined, like I don't have that defined, I don't have 30 and I don't have 29 defined in my chart at all, that we are here to experience these qualities of life through the transits, through other people, but we're not using these qualities and this energy of directness and burnout. I'm not using directness and burnout to help me identify who I am, right? And make a stand and crystallize my experience and manifest my experience. I'm not using directness. I'm not using burnout to manifest my experience. So that does it for the transits for today, guys. If you have any questions, you can feel free to wherever you want to. I think Transit Update is I think it's a read only channel. I guess you can send messages in it. Yeah, it looks like you can send messages in it. So if you do have questions about the transits or want to share stories or whatever, Transit Updates is available for that. Those kinds of conversations. With that being said, I also have yet to create. I'm going to do it right now while I'm on here. But the characters as gates, do that. So I'm going to do that right now. So 29 is abysmal, perseverance, and that is the deep within the deep. Persistence despite difficulty has its inevitable rewards. Excellent. Persistence. Persistence. I am not a good speller, as you guys can obviously tell. So if you guys have any, and this one actually is kind of challenging for me to think of any movie characters that or characters from books or whatever that fit these gates. Like I don't know any. If you guys could help me out and get in here and share what movie characters you think these guys show up for 29. and 30. That would be awesome. And illusion. All right, so that is live, and I'll go ahead and post the link to that in here. So Chris did something fucking awesome today. He hosted our first. He's been hosting study halls on Sundays, and today he kind of took a little pivot and took something out of what I said. I forget, it was a night or two ago on live, about how this community, is less about um, education in the classical sense of reading out of a book and consulting source material, and more about witnessing each other, and holding a space for each other to share our experiences with certain things. Because you could have someone with the exact same chart as you, but they're going to have a different experience with the gates, with their lives. And so it's important to hear those, because they're box for us to jump inside. It's not another religion or belief system for us to subscribe to, so much as it is a way for a common language, so that we can begin to take what is abstract in terms of the human experience, and ideally connect with people who have a similar experience, but perhaps a different expression, or a similar experience, but perhaps they've made a different story about what it is that happened to them, or what they do now because of what happened to them. And Chris held a really beautiful space for some people to some shy folks to get up and just share their experience, and this is especially true. I think you guys started with the throat. I don't know if you guys got on to the head or the root, but the throat is, it's the manifestation center. And so as someone with an open throat, I often myself am kind of wondering, got throat and head, that's awesome. I often wonder myself, even though I get up and I speak a lot, I often think to myself, what am I supposed to say? Like, what's the right thing to say here? Is what I'm saying valuable? And yet I come up here a lot, and I get on social media a lot. I think I had someone the other day, it was like a week or two ago, they were like, how do you make so much content with an open throat? And I was kind of dropping some of these codes on Chris, because I always check in with him after he does stuff, just to celebrate him and see if there's any way I can support. But it's understanding that, like, I'm just not attached to what I'm saying so much. I'm not looking at what I'm saying as a way of, like, defining myself so much as a way of learning about who's around me, and what actually needs to be said. And so that's the thing, is courage. Having courage is not the absence of fear; it's the presence of fear, but the willingness to move forward anyway. I very much appreciate you. Yeah, of course, man. Like, it's been so rewarding to because Chris and Ori and the moderators, Ronan, Prana, these were not people that I sat down with and said, all right, guys, we're going to open up a Discord and you guys are going to help me be moderators. These are like the first people that kind of saw the value of having a space like this, and we're just participating, and I watched them for a moon cycle, just kind of like, all right, what are these guys about? And then I was like, hey guys, we got to get on a call, because you guys are doing exactly what I want to be happening in this Discord server, and I want your help to keep it going. And then since then, like, Dragon pulled up, Lady, I've been seeing you a lot. Onion is back, which is wonderful. Melissa has been showing up, Angel. And so, again, it's like, we have 900 members, but it doesn't feel like there's 900 people here. There's definitely not like 900 people actively talking in the chats, which I'm actually like really grateful for, because that would be a lot. And it is always like that. There's Ra talks about this number. It's like 4% of 4%. And the way that he talks about it, he says that out of the 100% of the population, only 4% has the capacity to experience the mutations that are going to move us forward in in the evolution. And out of that 4%, only 4% of that 4% is actually going to embrace the mutations. The other 96% are going to resist it. And so it's you know, the tip of the spear, it's where the least amount of metal is, if you think about a weapon. But the tip of the spear is the most deadly. It's the most sharp, and it's the part that kills. And so y'all are my killers in a good way. And I'm just super grateful for everyone in here. And so yeah, Dragon, you said you heard that at 4:44. That's great. Yeah. No, that's definitely very cool. 4% of 4%, and yeah. So basically, what we're looking at doing is, and Onion just felt an earthquake. Okay, wild times here. Yeah, I could just talk about how much I love this server all day, but I do have other stuff to do today. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you, BMO. And yeah, I'll be posting